What is good? We're back. I might be a little off. I can't hear. I can't hear the music. We're doing it remotely. Jay Wayne's in the studio over there, still a little ill.
Gave you the cue.
Yeah.
The Quiwi.
This is why not being in the same room stinks on ice.
For sure. People will be like, how y'all sound so good? We're sitting right next to each other. And I got the levels all figured out. But
yeah.
You're drinking beer. I've been crammed up in this house for like 8 straight days with this family of mine, and we haven't been able to. It's been so cold. I can't even go outside. I can't go see anyone. We've gotten 2 negative COVID tests and a negative flu test. I wish they made a cold vaccine, you know? Why can't they figure that shit out? I'm good on the other shit, but no.
Yeah.
So I need a little something.
Yeah, that's how they used to fix it back in the day. Just go bourbon.
Yeah, I was watching a fucking news channel, and they were like, yeah, alcohol doesn't help a cold. And I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, let's see. All right, nerd. Let's just settle down.
Don't make me laugh, I'll cough.
All right, well, no Matt Foreman tonight, but we're back. Hopefully you checked out the Dynasty Stash episode. If not, be sure to, that's why you need to subscribe, like, comment below, do all that. I'm sure we'll get a lot of comments on this one. We're going to do our first shot at a rookie mock.
In a world where everyone does our way too early rookie mocks, the FF Dynasty presents Just On Time Rookie Mock.
No, this is way too fucking early. What's wrong with people? If you're watching these rookie mock videos thinking these boys know everything they're talking about, I don't know. I highly question it. There's probably a few
couple guys out there that I know that this is all they do.
Right.
You know, I'll rock with you. But for the most part, what we're going to do today is we're going to kind of go through. We got them sort of tiered out. And what we're going off of is what we watched this season, not on an all 22 perspective, not which we will be getting into, which is why, again, you need to follow because we'll be grinding out prospect videos once we get into the all 22s and really dive into all the, nooks and crannies of what's going on. But we're going to go with what we saw on Saturdays, not reviewed, and then kind of what the idea is, what we're hearing from like the bigger draft people, and just kind of keeping this in order of maybe some decent draft capital, and then we got them kind of tiered up into positional groupings a little bit and how we would go through there, and then we'll dissect those kind of as we go through. We got 2 rounds here for you. It's going to be Superflex, tight end premium. Gonna go through here, have a little bit of fun, but in no means is this I have no idea if I like Jaxon, Smith-Njigba, or Zach Evans more than one another right now, because I haven't really dug into it. But we're gonna kind of put it in order. We'll go through and talk about it best we can, and this will change a ton of times throughout when more information is presented, and we look into it more. So we're giving you the first shot at this, but it'll certainly change a million times. And again, this is why you should like, subscribe, follow along, because as we're going, we're going to do this a million times with a bunch of different people. And as we'll get analytics guys and film guys and the meld that all together and get a bunch of different opinions on all of these guys, do a bunch of mocks with those guys, as well as, like I said, individual breakdowns of all these guys. So without much more, let's get it rolling here. Jay Wayne, do you have any input?
No, let's do it.
All right. So it's not with much, I think the top 5 guys are sort of set right now. I don't think there's, there might be a little bit of variance of how you put out those 5 guys.
Not with
maybe
the 1-1.
It doesn't seem like it. And maybe you have it 4 and then there's a fringe guy on the 5th. I'm calling it all 5 guys right now. So right now I'm going 1, Bijan, 2, Anthony Richardson, 3, Bryce Young, 4, CJ Stroud, and 5, Gibbs. And I'm sure somebody's going to hit up, well, I'm stopped watching because Anthony Richardson is not number 2. Like, all right, bro, let's settle down.
I mean, he's probably not.
Maybe not. But I would plead the case of why not. There is some, there is some rawness about him a bit, and he needs to learn, like my son learned,
like my father, his father before him. He's got a lot to learn, though. I mean, this seems steep for 1-2 in a Superflex to take him over Bryce Young. What are you doing?
It's basically the fact of we're for me, and again, this could all change, but for me, it's the upside with Richardson. I don't think he's that far off, maybe as far as some people say. I've seen him make some of the really good throws, and I've seen him make some really bad throws, but it's really the athleticism. And that's we're not talking about necessarily the draft capital is probably going to be there.
So that's the thing, right? If it is, if he gets somewhere in the middle of the first round draft capital,
end of the first, even,
I guess, I hate to put too much stock in draft capital, but it feels like
it's going to afford you the most time and chances.
It feels like this is exactly why you can't have your rookie draft before the NFL draft, because the NFL is going to tell us if they think this dude's too raw, right? Malik Willis is raw, fell to the third round. If you drafted early in the offseason before the NFL draft, you wasted a 1-2 or possibly a 1-1 pick in your rookie draft because it's very appealing, right? I get the appeal of Richardson. Just look at the rushing, 97 attempts, 713 yards. That's for 7.4 yards per carry, 9 touchdowns, 39 missed forced tackles. Like, the dude's out there wilding out, but then comes in with a 53% completion percentage, which I don't really care about the percentages, but people do. And there might be some thresholds that say he can't be any good because of that. I don't know. We need to get Mason on to tell us where the threshold of, no completion percentage lower than 54.5%. If they don't have top 5 draft capital, will never get a chance to ever be good any time ever. But I don't know. It's right now for me. It's too early to put Richardson up this high.
Yeah, see, I'm going the opposite way. Is that the tools are so good that in fantasy football, the guys that are making the biggest difference in Superflex, for the most part, have the legs and can do there's no way you can't tell me that Anthony Richardson can't come on the field right now and do what Justin Fields is doing.
I mean, Justin Fields can show you a lot from the pocket. Now, I don't know.
Yeah, but he hasn't really, though. That's really,
he did at Ohio State.
Well, what I'm saying is rushing ability wise, that's really what Fields' production is hinged on right now. And I think Fields will be just fine, and Fields will continue to grow, and they'll put better pieces around him. And maybe they have the right GM, maybe they don't.
So you think Richardson's a better
that's what this will come down to with Richardson. Is he going to get in the right place with the right system and the right GM who is going to cater things around him? And maybe he doesn't even start for the first half of the season.
Do you think he's a better prospect than Willis?
For sure.
Okay. All right. Better be. I will go Bryce Young. Is that who you had at 3?
So, yeah, it's Bijan, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, Stroud, and Gibbs in the 5. And however you want to basically my point is however you want to jostle those guys up doesn't really matter. Bryce Young has the height weight issue, and then Stroud, seems to be maybe the cleanest. But then when you really dig into that, some people are really hating on some of the things that he does and the system and of course Ohio State quarterbacks, yada yada yada. I don't buy into that too much, but
no, I mean Fields should be putting that to rest right about now. But
possibly
there are some weird concerns out there. Now, I don't have them. I haven't watched a ton of tape on Stroud. I mean, I've seen a decent amount of Ohio State games, but seems like he comes through when he needs to and makes good plays. I mean, they got beat by Michigan. We'll see what happens in this college football playoff, which, if you're watching this, we're recording this 2 days before Christmas. I don't know how long it'll take me to get it out, but just for reference, haven't seen any of the national championship games. But I mean,
that point, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
His numbers certainly went down from 2021 to 22, but then when you take away Garrett Wilson and Olave, it kind of makes a little bit of sense. Same thing with Bryce Young. His numbers went down from 21 to 22, losing, Jameson Williams and was it just
Jaxon Smith-Njigba? No, Bryce Young.
Yeah, Bryce Young also lost Mechie, right? So
Mechie, and they didn't really have necessarily the best skill positions in the weakest they've been in a minute over there,
right? And did get hurt a little bit as well. But you're looking at the whole body of work here and what they both can do. The concerns from Anthony Richardson regarding his ability to read the field definitely at this stage of the game are alarming. But
Yeah, but he hasn't. Those other two guys have played a fair amount more of football, and they're both at two places that are basically
Stroud. The concerns about Stroud are that he can't read the field, that he's a one-read guy.
That's sort of what I guess a lot of the, what the Ohio State system kind of knocks kind of are, is that was the same thing that was said about the last couple of Ohio State quarterbacks coming out of there with Day's kind of system there.
They said that about Fields?
Mm-hmm. I think Stroud is going to be just fine. I don't know who will go first and where. I would like I said, for me personally, it would go Bijan, AR, Bryce Young, Stroud, Gibbs. I like Bryce a little bit more than Stroud, but back to kind of the point I started making a little bit, I got two of them, is that Bryce Young and Stroud are playing at two blue blood kind of programs that have great players all around them, and Florida's kind of that fringe one. I'm not saying Florida isn't a blue blood program. It's obviously a very good program, but like, there's no reason that he shouldn't have been playing, that Anthony Richardson shouldn't have been playing over Emory Jones last year. That's why Dan Mullins is no longer over there.
Damian Pierce too, right?
Right. I mean, they're just making some silly decisions, and that happens all the time throughout college football. But Richardson should have been having and I know there was some injury there with Richardson last year, but he should have been given more opportunity to get more starts under his belt. And I just don't know how good that Florida team is. The team surrounding Bryce Young and Stroud is much better than what's at Florida. Clearly, I'm not saying that would have made a ginormous difference, but it could have made that completion percentage be a little higher, and a little bit more time on the field could have benefited Richardson. So we can get into that debate a little more. I'm just using the running upside of AR to kind of vault into the top of the fantasy space here. And I think the draft capital will be just fine.
Yeah, I don't have enough to really argue against you. It seems a little risky, but what the fuck are we doing here? We're not drafting a real team. I would never, ever draft a real team, a rookie draft like this early. Like, we're just mocking it up. We're just fucking throwing shit around.
Mock it up before you fuck it up. So those are kind of the first five guys. And one more point is that, we're going to get standalone games here with these college football playoff. And if Bryce Young's not in it, but if Stroud could really make a case for himself one way or another here, and it'll do. I mean, we basically, the Thursday night game that just happened, we just watched Jacksonville play New York in some shitty weather. Everybody kind of knew that maybe Zach Wilson wasn't the guy, but I can tell you that this morning was the official burial of Zach Wilson, because it was a national televised, all eyes on me kind of game. We talk about this all the time, and that was it. I mean, he's muerto, he's dead in a lot of people's eyes, and that's it. And revisionist history says, well, maybe he was, you never had your car, but it is what it is. Fast and the Furious.
Fast and the Furious quote. Jesus. You never had your car.
So that can do a lot for a player's public perception, and as weird as it is, fantasy is one of those things that does value holds on a lot of public perception. So if Stroud comes out and plays well here, it could really do a lot for his view in fantasy mocks, and even in a real life situation. So let's keep it moving here. Gibbs is probably at the bottom of that list for me, but still in it. So that's kind of your tier one right now as we see it, right?
Be interesting to see what Gibbs comes into the combine weighing and running.
Yeah.
Because he's a little light, but they got him proposed as like a 4.45 kind of guy, 4.46. And, he's got the receiving chops that everybody loves. He's basically like puts this whole team on his back sometimes. Like it's like most of their offense in what seemed to be bigger spots. And it was like, and he's got some game breaking ability. He doesn't look like people can catch him. Tons of forced tackles, both from rushing and receiving. So, Gibbs a fun prospect. That's why you got definitely in the top 5 here.
But, it's also what gives him the pass. As we go through here, we'll knock a couple of guys, or I will a little later for not maybe being the prototypical size that you're looking for. But Gibbs seems to get the pass because of who he is, where he was, and kind of what he's done in those programs. And maybe some people are saying, no, I'm not giving him the pass, and I'm down a little lower. But for right now, we're going to stick him there. Let's move on to kind of the next tier of guys here. We're going to go 6 through 8, and we're going to put the 3 receivers there that I think right now are just, mostly above kind of all the other receivers. Whether it'll end up that way or not, I'm not saying it will be. I'm not saying this is the final anything. We haven't dug in on any of these guys, but this seems to be sort of the consensus currently. It's Quentin, Johnston at 6. It's Jaxon, Smith-Njigba at 7, and it's Addison kind of at 8. And that would
are you saying that's the consensus out there, or that's the order you want to put them in right now?
I'm saying that's the order that I'm putting them in right now, and I'm kind of tiering them up because I think that's the consensus of the kind of who could be the first overall receiver kind of deal in this draft here. Njigba seems to be getting a little bit of pushback.
He won't be playing in 2 wide receiver sets. And
Addison as well. And, people are, but, I'm just right now that from where we're at, that's I'm going to put those guys.
To your head today, you're taking Quentin Johnston?
I think so, but I don't necessarily want to, but he seems like he offers the most.
He seems pretty safe at this point. He seems like a safe pick because in all the consensus, he is the consensus first wide receiver off the board in all these NFL, like real NFL mock drafts. He's the first wide receiver taken pretty high, and he's got the size speed combo. Mm-hmm. I don't give a fuck what any other TCU wide receiver has ever done. I could give a fuck less. If you could never use the term helmet scouting again, it would be too soon. And, I like him because he seems safe. 6'4", 215, proposed to run a 4.4 flat. I mean, if he flies like that, his value's just even if it isn't any good, like his value
came
up
with big plays in big situations. He
looks the part hurt when he's this year there. A little bit too.
Been banged up. Yeah. So, just kind of like we said to lead this off, I have it kind of tiered up through positional players. It seems like those guys are kind of running ahead of the other next tier of running backs. And now any one of those running backs that we're going to talk about here in a minute could easily come up into this tier and take that over. And any of these wide receivers could drop back in the next running back tier, or, it's not always I'm not always going to have this tiered up into positional groupings. Just for me, for not knowing enough, it made it the easiest to kind of walk through this and made the most sense in my head as far as kind of how I would draft these guys. I got the two big dog running backs ahead of those guys, and then I got a chunk of maybe who are quote unquote the big dog wide receivers kind of next. They got to eat, and then you got coming up here the next run of running backs, and like I said, any of those guys could kind of move up into this next tier that we're talking about. Quentin Johnston and Jaxon Smith-Njigba, and any of those guys could move down. As well as, there's going to be a lot of jumping around in this list, 2 months from now. So
this isn't a tiers video, Casey. It's a mock draft. So you better put them in a fucking order and stand by and tell me it can't ever be wrong. Okay. So after Quentin, who's next? You taking JSN? You're not scared?
Jaxon Smith-Njigba and then
now
Addison.
I'm surprised because tell me why you're going Jaxon Smith-Njigba, because I thought you would go Addison here.
It's real close for me. I could go either way. It's not necessarily. I put them in an order.
Tell me why you put JSN at the top here.
I put an order in there just for you. It's more of a tier thing for me.
Is it because he's 20? Because that's appealing.
It is appealing. I mean, he was great. He should be given his flowers. He had an excellent season, and we just didn't get to see him this year.
Is that a Matt Monday local Charleston rapper reference there, giving his flowers, or is that a
no?
He's got a song called "Give Me My Flowers."
I got no problem with putting Addison, above JSN or vice versa. So it really isn't a matter of I feel strongly one way or the other. Addison also had a great previous year, also battled injury, played a little bit more than Jaxon Smith this year, but.
Addison had an
flip flop
ankle
on any of those, and really, Addison could come off the board, the actual real board before JSN. I don't know. They both. Might profile in a similar manner where they're not the biggest guys, so might be forced into a little more slot duty. It seems like Addison does get some more chances outside.
Oh shit, he was 75% out wide this year.
Yeah, for USC, yeah.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't really matter to me right now. I don't have a great answer for that. And that's why we're doing this. I don't have a great answer for a lot of things, but I do have, kind of this mapped out a little bit of the who's, what, and where.
If you talk about big games that everyone saw, Jaxon, Smith-Njigba in the bowl game last year or whatever, with when Garrett Wilson and Olave didn't play, he was 200-something yards. He's just wild the fuck out.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Both Garrett Wilson and Olave are on record saying that they think Jaxon Smith-Njigba is the best wide receiver on Ohio State's team when they were there. Like, them boys are giving him homage. He's not the most athletic. He's not. He can get caught from behind. He does play in the slot, but like the dude is dirty. And, strong breakout age, good, ridiculous target share for the talent that's there. And you look back at that 21 season, like just 95 receptions, almost 1,600 yards. Like, just crushing it. Bunch of missed tackles forced. Like, the dude's just a good overall player. And but he's getting knocked down. The consensus is hating him. And as soon as he runs a slow 40, it's going to be Treylon Burks again, where it was a guy that you thought might be the first guy off the board in terms of wide receivers. And all of a sudden, he's like a deal in your rookie draft, and it's fallen later because people are hating on the fact that he's a slot player.
Not for me. Right. He's not going to fall that much.
Yeah. Yeah. And then,
I'm very intrigued.
Kick it to Addison. Very intrigued with this dude, too. I mean,
for sure.
You got to cut him some slack this year. He had a bum ankle. He hurt his ankle pretty bad versus Utah early on the season. Missed 2 games, then gutted out the next 4 games. Isn't going to play in this bowl game. Might declare. I don't know. Might not. That's an interesting conversation. Is like, could they like USC? I would imagine they have all the money they could ever want. Mm-hmm. Could they pay him like a pretty strong salary, basically get him enough of millions to say, okay, hold off for 1 more year, and we'll go ahead and pay however much it is, $1 million, whatever, for an insurance policy that would then guarantee you money next year that you might get as a first-round draft pick if you got hurt. To is there enough incentive that they could figure this is very intriguing. It's like the first time we're going to see an NIL offseason where with these high profile guys that haven't yet declared, could they coax them back? Because it's like you got Caleb Williams for another year. You got Heisman candidate hopes. You could win the Blitnikoff. I think he's already done that at Pitt. That 21 season was absolutely ridiculous. Bonkers. 100 receptions, 20 missed forced tackles, and a crazy yards per route run with having ran so many routes and so many targets. He's just an incredible player with 4.39 proposed speed, sub 4.4 speed. This is an awesome prospect. What do you think? Anything could happen in the NL? What do you think the chances are he actually declares?
So we I've talked about this. We've talked about this throughout the season.
Might be a moot point by the time this comes out, but
right. I think it's probably if you're gonna go in the first round. I don't know how much things can get better for you, and right. Really, the NIL money is going to be good. That second contract money is what you're kind of playing for in the NFL, and the faster you can get there, the better. So that's always going to weigh into some decisions.
So you tell my man to go pro?
I would assume so, because it seems like he's still got first round draft capital.
Oh, for sure. This dude will be a first round pick.
Unless he comes out and gets really hurt, I don't think it'll necessarily matter, because he would come out and crush with Caleb Williams again next year.
Well, it would be for a pretty devastating injury.
Right, exactly. So, I don't think it would necessarily hurt him, but I'm pretty sure he's going pro. There's, Blake Corum isn't on this list because he said he was 50-50 publicly, so I just kind of left him off. Addison seems like he's a lot closer to, hey, there's some people that say he's the first or second receiver off the board.
He's missing the bowl game due to rehabbing that ankle injury that he just played the last 4 games on. Right. But hasn't declared. It's just interesting. It certainly is. NIL thing.
I was talking about this with Bijan. Everyone was, obviously he's declared it now, but you got Arch Manning coming in. Texas has more money than God. Maybe if they were a little closer this year, maybe they would say, hey, some guys do just love fucking college football.
Right.
And they want to play and maybe try to win a championship there.
College, ladies running around everywhere, no real responsibility.
Sure, but then you get into them pros, boy. Woo, them pro ladies is.
I don't know. You might get you into some trouble.
They pros.
They're anyway. I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. Let's move along.
All right, let's keep it moving. So next one for me is Will Levis, kind of in a tier by himself. It's simply quarterback.
It's not Will Levis.
No, he doesn't.
How are the jeans?
He does have those jeans. The jeans are strong. Dude
are they?
Dude's physique is on fleek.
Is that from the mayonnaise in his coffee or the eating of the banana peel?
If that word's still in vogue.
Fleek?
Yeah.
It's not, but I like it.
I hate it. But dude swole up. The pundits don't seem to, this year doesn't seem to be counted against him by some of the bigger people. So I'm going to leave him in here because of the quarterback. We're talking Superflex. He does have some parts and pieces that make it look great. And I mean, you know, some people are going to argue.
He's old.
Some people are going to argue that, you know, Levis over Richardson all day long. I don't have a great argument against you right now.
Hit me in the comment section.
Right. Well, all of this, please. Anybody you agree, disagree with, that you want to bring up some points, yada, 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 hit us in the comments. So quick conversation on Levis. Like, you know, it's basically had a great season at Kentucky. I don't think the team was as great. He didn't play as great. He was nicked up through a lot of this season. So I'm putting him here at 9 just because he's a quarterback. I think he has, you know, a lot of favorable traits. And that's what we're going off of right now. So Will Levis at 9, kind of in a little tier by himself because probably the next highest drafted quarterback and, you know, probably deserves to kind of be, you know, up in that area.
I don't know. Something seems fishy. I don't have a great feeling, but I don't know much more than that.
I don't love it right now either, but it seemed like it was, you know, properly rated. So we'll leave it at that, and we'll put Levis there. Looks great in a wet T-shirt. I'll tell you that.
I don't think you needed to go deep Grizzly voice for that one.
Get in there real deep black.
Go a little higher pitched.
All right. So the next group is another chunk of tiered out, and these are going to be running backs.
You
What's
got
that?
the tight end, right?
Oh yeah. Sorry. Good catch.
Jumping ahead, my boy.
Good catch there.
Jumping ahead. I mean, I don't want to take a tight end, but you seem to want to. Go for it. 111.
Well, so we're at 110. We're at 110 here. Good call. I was going to jump to the chunk of running backs, but good catch.
I can't wait to jump to the jump. Let's get through Michael Mayer. What do you like about Michael Mayer?
So basically, for me, we're talking Superflex tight end premium here. Like I said, I haven't dove in. I'm not really, you know, accustomed to exactly whether I love Mayer or not. If I do end up loving Mayer, he'll probably end up somewhere around here. If not, he'll get bumped down a little bit. Top of the first probably would be about the latest because he does seem like he's got a lot of love. He seems like a pretty can't miss guy. He seems like a really good player. And in tight end premium, I want the advantage of a good tight end. There's not that many of them. And if there's a chance that Mayer's good, and it seems like there is, you know, I want to roster that guy. I'm always going to be taking shots at tight ends in tight end premium because I think there is such an advantage there. And my roster is certainly going to be filled on the back end with, you know, 3, 4, 5 tight ends that could hit. Because I especially if it's a deeper, like 30-man roster, 28-man roster, I want to put a bunch of those tight ends in it. You know, I usually figure out a way to either bundle them up in something and help me get a trade done, or they you know, they fizzle out and you fucking cut them later. But Michael Mayer seems like he is going to be the capital is going to be good on him. The from what I've seen at Notre Dame over the last couple of years is really strong on him. He's been a guy who's been highly sought after and highly regarded for the last few years. Notre Dame hasn't necessarily been prolific on offense in the recent memory, but basically it's the sentiment for Mayer being here in a tier by himself, kind of that I want to take the shot on the tight end if I have an opportunity, and I think the tight end is warranted. And it seems like right now, currently, in the way that I'm looking at it, that he does warrant being, you know, close to that elite level tight end. So I don't think he's Kyle Pitts necessarily, but we shall see.
Well, I hope he's not Kyle Pitts because he sucks, right? No.
Well, that's what they'd like you to believe. It's been unfortunate with the system that he kind of landed in, and is the same for, you know, some of these other high end tight ends.
Right. So that's the question is, like, I'm with you on stashing a bunch of tight ends on the bench at the back of your roster, especially in tight end premium, but fuck it, even in a regular tight end league, points league. But spending the high pick, which is like a first-round pick, it hasn't worked out too much for you, right? I guess. I guess you can make arguments for why. I mean, I'm not going to knock anybody for taking Pitts. Pitts is a unicorn. Take the swing. This is what this game's about. So I'm not going to be like, Pitts hasn't performed for 2 years, so that was a bad pick. I think you should probably go try and buy some Pitts right now. But take it back. There was nobody else. There was nobody really in this past year's draft that you were taking that high. Spend a mid-something second-round pick on Trey McBride. That still might work out. Take it a couple years back. There was, I guess you go to Hockenson and Fant, right? Fant never really panned out. Showed some flashes as a rookie. Bad situation. Went to another okay situation, but still not working out. You can't start Fant right now. Hockenson, though, took him a minute. Dealt with some injuries. Wasn't great, though. It took like 4 years. Same thing with, go back another draft class. You had Evan Ingram, O.J. Howard, and Njoku. It's working out great for Ingram and Njoku right now, but it took them that long. Right. O.J. Howard, slew of injuries. Same thing with Evan Ingram, but is that more bad circumstance, or is it just so hard for a rookie, a young tight end in the league that you know you're going to have to wait a minute? So is it like, can you buy these guys that you like a little cheaper later, and so you should you avoid tight ends in the first round of rookie drafts? Is kind of like my big question.
Yeah, no, man, I can't necessarily put up a great fight with you. All that stuff is good points, and I don't think you're necessarily wrong. I think it's mostly circumstance. I think all those guys are talented. You're kind of seeing it right now with the usage of those guys. Joku's been pretty good this year with Brissett, and when he wasn't injured, and now you're going to get Deshaun, and we're about to see if that chemistry can blow up. Hockenson has had some good years with the Lions there, but he also was a little banged up and injured and nicked through some seasons there, and then got traded, and now he's been great target wise for the Vikings. Evan Ingram, you're seeing a blow up on kind of the second team. He did have a nice little bump with the rookies, and then Noah Fant, obviously it hasn't been great with the Seahawks and wasn't great with the Broncos. I don't think that I think it was mostly circumstantial. I mean, the Browns have been the Browns for a long time. Maybe they're turning it around, regardless of what you think of how they did so. The Lions are the Lions. The Broncos have been quarterback-less for a while. Maybe they still are, but then Fant gets traded and is on another team. A lot of bad situations, a lot of bad circumstances, a lot of no quarterbacks, a lot of no real direction of the franchise and confidence and kind of how they maneuver and function. And you can see kind of when that came around and when the usage is proper on those guys that it certainly it can work. No, it is a position that typically can take a little while. Pitts is obviously in a bit of a bummer of a situation right now as well, because he's kind of quarterback less. So I can't make a huge argument for you, except for that I'll continue to take that shot and see where Mayer lands and see what that situation is like. You got a shot, I'll take a shot. These are, typically if you're going to be taking 110 to 112 here, those are already good teams in the league. As far as fantasy wise, these were guys that, either won the league or were 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4. So they're presumably a decent team. So you could absorb maybe a bad year or two of those. I mean, even with McBride, it was a bummer. He got pushed down a little bit because he went to Arizona. I was still taking him at the top of the second in tight end premium, and for the reasons that you're seeing right now, like the volume. If he's a starter on the team, the volume's good, and he's a pretty good player already. It's gonna. I don't know how great it's gonna be over the next year or two, depending on how the Ertz thing goes, and now you don't know what's gonna happen with Kyler for a minute here. But no. I think that's a fair point, but for me, I'm okay with. I want the positional advantage, and I'm going to continue to kind of take those swings, especially if I'm a better team. But 2-1 feels maybe a whole lot better to take that first swing on a tight end, but it's kind of semantics at that point.
Yeah, much different team too. Makeup when you Picking
potentially,
most likely. Okay, all right. Well, that's enough talking about tight ends. Everyone just tuned out. Let's move along to this next. We got a skill position group here, basically.
Yeah. So, like I was wrongly saying before, Mayor, we got kind of a next group of running backs here, and I've got them, kind of again funneled into the next.
Better
couple
be
of
in an order. They better be in an order, Casey.
I'll give you an order.
All right.
I'm giving you the next group of running backs because typically in a dynasty setting, I'm going to go with the best group of running backs, and I'm probably going to put those guys first, unless there's some quarterbacks. Then I'll throw some receivers in there, and then I'm going to most likely come back to the next group of running backs, because in dynasty the easiest way to regenerate that running back room, reinvigorate that running back room is going to be through this draft. It's going to be the cheapest way to possibly do this. So I'm always going to value the running backs a little higher than the next group of wide receivers. Now, I'm not saying that
in rookie drafts.
In rookie drafts, I'm not saying that down the line I might not have, Rashee Rice or Trey Flowers or Josh Downs up here, or Hyatt up here above some of these guys. Not saying that at all. I just don't know. I'm just basically telling you how I would value positionally throughout, these guys. Rashee Rice could end up being in the Njigba group, and Njigba could be down below these guys. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just letting you know kind of how this could fluctuate, and it's not always going to be just broken down tier by tier, but that's the way I see it, and it's the way that I would kind of walk through this.
December, man, and we've looked through all these stats. We've watched highlight film. We haven't dived into the all 22s, as you mentioned. Like, we haven't done our deep dive. We haven't done any profile videos, which is why you got to like and subscribe to the channel, because we're going to be putting out individual profile videos of most of these prospects, as many as we can get to, and we'll break down every single thing. We'll show you film. We'll get into all the nitty gritty, the bio.
Yeah, we're
history.
going to legally massage this thing out.
Yeah. So who's the first guy? Who's the next guy? Who's the best pilot?
So we got a group of 4 running backs here next. We're going to go Charbonnet, Tucker, Evans, and Tank Bigsby, and Zach Evans, Sean Tucker. So those are going to be the next 4 guys. Again, I'm valuing the running, I elevate the running back value a little bit right here because of positional scarcity, that they're hard to get. We're hoping that this class can help us, reinvigorate the running back group. The value in general on the running back is down because we haven't quite gotten it yet. If you've been following us for a while, we've been talking about this for a while. We haven't got that Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, CMC, Hunt, that class kind of reinvigorated the last group of falling off running backs, and we didn't get anything in the middle. We finally got Josh Jacobs and we got Miles Sanders this year, but we didn't get Dobbins and we didn't get Akers and Gibson, and there was a whole bunch of guys who haven't quite done what we wanted to do, and Josh Jacobs and Miles Sanders and Montgomery didn't quite get up to that upper echelon. Now obviously Josh Jacobs is a league winner right now, so that's helping it out, and ETN basically is a rookie this year. But we saw how quickly Kenny Walker's value just shot right up as soon as he was doing anything. Breece Hall's value is so insulated already because of the running back position. This guy's got an ACL and he's still out there. He's going to be the top of fucking rookie drafts this year, or the top of startup drafts this year, as the 1-1, 1-2, or not, maybe Superflex, obviously different, but basically the running backs, he's going to be in that top tier already. We see how quickly those can skyrocket up, and that's why I'm elevating that value a little bit here on the next group of running backs. So Charbonnet
seems like a class to help bolster that running back room for you.
Right.
All right. So Charbonnet.
I'm going to throw him at the top just because I feel the most comfortable with him. I'm not saying he's going to end up at the top there, but he seems like he
plant the little flag
all.
here.
He has a little bit of everything. He can kind of do it all. I'm not scared of him.
There's some hate.
I feel like he's going to go to the next level and be just fine.
Yeah, my man's 6'1", 220. Love that size. 21 years old. Is about to turn 22 at the turn of the year. But, proposed to run a low 4.4, and my man's big, can carry the rock, crushed from a receiving standpoint. Like, 74th percentile target share. That's all we want, baby. And can carry the rock. Love it. I don't know why people are hating on Charbonnet. They're like mad at him. I don't know.
Well,
why.
he had to transfer to UCLA because Corum and Donovan Edwards, he couldn't keep up with the, all right. I don't necessarily know.
Everyone's transferring. Everyone is transferring so hot right now. Transferring.
Yeah.
So did Jameson Williams. So did fucking Joe Burrow. He's
a little older too, I guess.
He's about to be 22.
Could have came out last year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. If he fucking lights the combine up, he probably made himself some money coming back.
It's very, very possible.
If he needs to nail the combine, and then people will be like, oh, see, yeah, Charbonnet is good. See, I told you he had a good combine. Shit's so fucking stupid.
Yeah. But really, these four seem very kind of divisive. It seems like,
polarizing,
people either love
if you will.
What's that?
Polarizing, if you will.
Polarizing, sure. It seems like you either love Tucker or you hate Tucker. You like Evans, you don't like Evans. You like Tank, you don't like Tank. I kind of got those guys all in the same right now. I don't know. I don't have a great, decision maker here for you. We will eventually figure this out and figure out which ones we like more and less, and maybe it stays the same. Charbonnet
13th in yards, tied for 11th in touchdowns, 11th in targets, 8th in receptions, 7th in receiving yards. There's a lot of BS stats going around in college, and for you to be at the top of those lists, at a real school, says some shit in both categories, rushing and receiving. I don't know why people aren't higher on Charbonnet. We got to plant this flag, baby. Let's go.
Get on him, baby. Sean Tucker, obviously, had a prolific career at Syracuse here. There's some positive and some negative on him. But
what are people mad about?
I'm not really sure. I haven't dug into it. All I know is that people do get pretty upset that he's not the guy.
He's 5'10", 205.
I'm just trying to be honest with you. I'm not trying to bullshit you. So I'm just, I don't have a great rationale of why Tucker, Evans, and Tank seem to be so polarizing and people love him and people hate him. You're either in one of those camps or not, it seems right now. Just kind of my general, always kind of keeping one eye on what the people are saying, what the
you gotta
the
keep
Twitter
one
people,
eye open like CBS,
That's right. But Tucker, I guess I'd throw him next on the list. He's been a joy to watch. He's been very productive throughout his time there. Maybe the receiving isn't great, but it's
whatever.
It's better than
I would argue it is good. He's got 8% target share. That's in the 63rd percentile.
It's better than Evans and Tanks.
He's got 37 receptions in 2022 on 52 targets. 7.1 yards per reception, a couple of touchdowns. Not as many missed forced tackles from the receiving standpoint, but crushing it on the rushing. 43 missed tackles forced. That's a fuck ton. 200 attempts, 1,100 yards, 11 touchdowns. On Syracuse, this man's he's tough to handle, I
agree. He came away as
a defense.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. He came away as the guy next in line after Charbonnet for me. Evans then coming in next. He's pretty fun. It's pretty close between Tucker and Evans for me. It seemed like a lot of explosion there. A lot of
looks like
size
he's got
and
some
weight.
Juice.
A lot of size and weight fluctuation on Evans when you kind of look around.
I got him at 6 foot 215, but I need to see those combine numbers.
But some people had him, under 6 foot, right around 200.
That's a drastic. Yeah, I think when we did this and Foreman rattled off his stats, I was like, where'd you get that weight from? Because some people might be using the high school weight. Mm-hmm. Sometimes Google has their weight, and then PFF has their weight, and it's right. So you do get a good measurement, or the measurement is right when they're at the combine, but even that can be deceiving because these dudes cut weight, put on weight to do better at certain drills, if their size is a concern, then they might run a slightly slower time to get a little bit more weight.
Get off real quick.
Right. So they're playing, which is smart on their part. They should be playing because it's so much stock is put into the stupid combine and narrative and all that shit that they have to. And so even the combine numbers in terms of weight, not size, obviously, they're not gonna change. They can't change their size, but their height. But the weight, how does he look on the field? He doesn't look small on the field. He looks like a lot to handle on the field.
Yeah, he looked pretty dynamic, pretty explosive. Transferred from TCU to Ole Miss, and it certainly didn't seem to make a difference which defense he was playing against. He looked explosive and really fun to watch in a lot. But again, some people have Evans way up at the top of this list, and some people have Evans way down at the bottom of the list. For me, I'm going to throw him right in that basically second tier of running backs for now.
I guess I'll give Tucker the edge right now because of the receiving. With Zach Evans, he's only had 18 receptions over the last 2 years combined, and college target share in the 21st percentile. So that's not going to be a reason why I wouldn't take him or be like, he sucks. Right. But you want to give Tucker the edge right now for that. I'm fine with that.
When we get into the nitty gritty, we can decide. We can look at those things and say, let me see him catching the ball and see how it looks. From all readings and the little bit that I've seen of him, it seems like it isn't an issue and that he's decent at it. So
I have cut up one of the all 22s and went through it, and I've done a lot of them and just one, and I'm just getting into it to try and throw some video footage of all that into this video. We'll see how far I get with all that. But if I recall, it looked like his hands are fine. That's all I really care about. Are the hands fine? When you're throwing the ball, does it look like you can catch? Yeah, cool.
There's not that many, running backs in the league who get used with a semi-workhorse role and a great passing, crazy tree dynamic usage. There's just really not that many of them. And if it happens, obviously the floor is fantastic. What you're looking for is, you just want there to be, you don't want it to be what Travis Etienne is right now. You want a little bit better receiving floor for Travis Etienne, which caught 3 in the first half and then caught none in the second half. Why not throw him another couple of balls? But if we could just get 3 catches in a game from a workhorse style running back, I'm going to be okay with that week in, week out, just to get me a nice little floor in there. So Tank Bigsby is
the next guy who doesn't have a good target share, right? Yeah.
No.
Only in the 7th percentile. I don't know if Tank Bigsby, despite being the best name in the draft, can be any good because of the target share.
Yeah, and his hands also look fine when he's catching it, but strange usage for Tank. You wanted to see a little bit more there, and that's really seems to be the deflator right now, is that the usage was kind of weird and they weren't using him right. Auburn just, coaching situation. I don't really know what was going on, but it just seemed like something was amiss over there. But Tank, by all accounts, 6 foot, 210-ish.
I got him at 213.
Yeah, so bit of a bigger fella there.
21 years old.
I think he runs pretty well for a big fella. I think he's kind of, he seems like he has a nice balance of kind of everything. So
yeah, a ton of missed tackles forced.
Right.
Just high in the missed tackles forced. 48 last year, 60 this year.
Doesn't look like a huge dancer out there either, though. So it's not like he seems like there's a lot of, not a whole lot of wasted movement in the moves that he does make, especially for the bigger frame that he is.
Movement. And proposed to run a sub 4.5, so that'll help his stock quite nicely. Yeah. Let me see that gauntlet drill.
Right. So that's going to round out that kind of tier of running backs. Like I said, there will be certainly, when we get this more dialed in, there'll be some more, running backs and receivers kind of tied in together. But right now, I'm just walking you through kind of my process and how I think about these guys. So the next guy on here, we're going to get through a slew of receivers here. Rashee Rice is next. He's coming in the first on this list just because of the bigger size and bigger frame and big productivity down there at SMU.
Yo, so much productivity, right? 6'3", 206. That's what I got him listed at. Old as fuck, though, dude. 1998 is when he was born. That makes him 24 years old. So that people are not going to like that.
Nope.
Doesn't have a breakout age at all.
Nobody's going to like that.
But putting up some monster numbers in TCU. 2nd in targets, 4th in receptions. SMU. What did I say?
TCU.
Oh, right. Yeah, not TCU. SMU. Which for helmet scouting, he must be Cortland Sutton. 2nd in targets, 4th in receptions, 2nd in yards, tied for 11th in touchdowns, 3rd in yak, 10th in yards per route run, 11th in missed forced tackles, ran red light change lanes in an intersection while speeding.
So the knock on this guy,
436 proposed 40.
The knock on this guy all around is that the route tree isn't super diverse. I'm just not going to get upset about that. You're going to go to that's the job of the coaches at the next level.
Yeah.
So the age is something that's certainly going to knock him down, but
Simmons is old as fuck.
Size, speed, and productivity. Yeah, okay, he's a little older, but you can't take those things away. So I'm gonna. We got Rice at the forefront here. We're going Trey Flowers next.
Zay fucking Flowers. You say his name correctly, okay?
You're right. You're right. How dare me? How dare me?
Cut that out.
I was just
Zay's name. If his name is Zay, I gotta love him because if he's anything like Zay Jones, let's fucking go.
I just told Zach Reed of Dynasty Dummies, and I think he's on DLF with Peter Howard, that he hit us up with a tweet about Zay Jones.
He brought it back around. He said someone won the argument 4 years
I was like,
later.
I'm just happy I got another Zay to lament over here, and Zay Flowers seems like he will be a little divisive throughout this process.
I can't believe you didn't have him above Rice.
I initially did, and then I watched a little Rice, and then just I'm just throwing Rice at the top here, basically just being a size queen, and throwing Rice with that. But Flowers again is a little old, but very, very productive.
He's only 22.
The frame's a little smaller. The size is a little smaller.
Man,
but
that 5'11", 178 doesn't seem right.
It doesn't look.
He looks
you look at
bigger than
Jalen
that.
Hyatt. You look at Jalen Hyatt, and he looks slim out there.
Yeah.
And Flowers doesn't look as slim out there moving about.
Flowers
the
looks
cabin.
like a handful for the defense to handle.
And can play kind of outside and in, and has been productive throughout. He broke all sorts of records. He's going to be the first prospect video that we throw out there. He's about ready to roll, so be sure to subscribe for all that jazz.
Ready to roll. We're gonna take a shit in your bookmaker's face. Ready to roll.
But I do like Zay Flowers a good bit, and it just speaks to the depth that we're already at in this class, and I'm sure some of it'll shrink down a little bit. But next on the list is Josh Downs.
Hold on. Zay Flowers. I know you're trying to. We're way long on this fucking thing. I know you didn't want to make it this long. Maybe we could split it between round 1 and round 2.
Nah, we don't need to split it. Just keep it moving.
People would watch round 2. We round 2's done okay. Round 3. But like you mentioned, slot 2 to 1 basically, out wide versus a slot. Dominator in the 73rd percentile, target share in the 83rd percentile, breakout age right there in the 20 in the 63rd percentile, 62nd percentile. Super fast, proposed to run a 4.3, crushed targets, 124, 78 receptions. This dude, and the yak. I mean, he's just. Everything about this man is fun to watch.
Yeah, it translates.
Zay Flowers, stock up. We guys want to plan a little bit more of a flower. I feel like Charbonnet and Zay Flowers are kind of like our diamonds in the rough this year so
early.
So early, sure.
Well, we'll save it because we're about to get into this. We're about to be the first one. We're going to get in there. Josh Downs next in line. Some people are saying poor man Addison there, and you can get him later. So let's take him. Highly productive. Seemingly like he's going to be a little bit more of this of a slot guy with the size and weight kind of deal. But man, is he fun to fucking watch out there, and he produces. He figures out a way to get open. He obviously has a good quarterback. Not Flowers has kind of suffered from the not best quarterback and kind of revolving door, where Downs this year has come in and obviously was a little banged up, but then has if he was able to come out, May would be, the number 1 quarterback in the draft. So he gets the nod kind of for that. And Downs is definitely a beneficiary of that, but was good in previous years as well. So Downs kind of next on the list for me. Little
small, 5'10", 180, that Bing. Would be kind of the knock on him. I would imagine that the analytical people will really, really like this guy, so that will help his value be sustained. Dominator in the 72nd percentile, target share in the 99th percentile, breakout age 87th percentile at 19.1. So, projected to run sub 4.5. These are all things that will help his value stay high, regardless of what he does.
Any of these guys in this tier could easily be up in the first round by the time we're done with this thing. So
Clemson handled him. Go Tigers. Clemson handled a bunch of these guys, actually. There wasn't too many people just murdering Clemson except for the fucking Pittsburgh quarterback. No, North Carolina State guy, too.
Finley.
And the fucking running game of the Notre Dame.
Yeah,
they really just destroyed us. But you know what? I don't want to play Georgia in this year. Who wants to go and play Georgia? Georgia's going to win the national championship, right? There is no way they don't win the national championship.
I would assume so.
There's no way Georgia isn't going to win the national championship.
I'd like to see Michigan win it, but hey,
Michigan, their defense, maybe Michigan can compete.
It's probably going to be Georgia.
But
All right, to round out this tier, we got Jalin Hyatt. Now, some people are going to have him as the number one wide receiver. A gazelle out there, a lot of fun to watch. Huge productivity, and a lot of the things that I've watched so far, and obviously I've seen a decent amount of Tennessee this year. The scheme is something that they get knocked for. He's running wide open a lot, and it's
Is that the thing though? Is it more the scheme? Are they reducing his talent level because of the scheme?
A little bit of a reduction because of what they run and how they run, and maybe there's going to be a reasonable adjustment at the next level for him. But the raw talent and ability is there, but he's a little small for kind of what he is. But
6'1", 180.
Right? Yeah. In your bra.
But like you said, the phenomenal amount of numbers. This is filtered for 50% of targets, but third in yards, 20th in yards per reception, tied for first in touchdowns, fifth in yak, fourth in yards per route run, strong ADOT. Sure, the scheme could be awesome, but my man has to be out there catching the ball too. And I don't have the contested catch numbers right here in front of me, but it seemed like he was coming up with balls that you wouldn't imagine that he might come up with, and in huge spots for his team, and over and over and over and over again. So I haven't delved into it. I haven't watched a ton of his film other than just seeing him running wide the fuck open downfield all the time. So scheme obviously awesome, but he did that without Cedric Tillman on the field for most part, which he's before this year was a really highly touted prospect. Yeah. They could have been at the top of this list for sure, somewhere near the top, not the top, but up higher than where we haven't even mentioned him yet. But he did that without him. It wasn't like he was getting stuff because they were worried about Tillman. He was
right.
And you got to focus on him, and he still scores 5 touchdowns a game. It's wild.
This offense was prolific. This team was great this year. Obviously, they beat a bunch of really good teams. The scheme is great. That kind of stacked bunch formation that they kind of run is it seemed like it gave a lot of people a lot of hard time, and I think that's the biggest knock right now from what I can see and hear, and has been for a minute. Is just that there may be a little bit of an adjustment period to get him kind of up to speed, but all the speed and ability and production is all there. So, easy jumper here with Jalin Hyatt to be, higher than he is where we have him here. Obviously this is, again, basically a rough draft to the first copy of kind of what we're doing.
Some of the places you look at, he's at the top, some he's at the bottom. He's a pretty polarizing player, because if you look at the production, which a lot of people like, which I couldn't find the analytical data on Jalin Hyatt looking at Matt Kelly's website, because I don't know, he hasn't updated Jalin Hyatt yet, so I don't know what his dominator and target share and breakout age and all that are, but he's not super old. He dominated this year, which, again, when we say dominator and stuff, it's taking into account how much yardage and targets he had of the team's total available yardage and targets and stuff. And it's a simple math formula, but it's subjective sometimes on whether they're talking about a specific year or whether it's the whole career. Because sometimes it'll say your best year, that's where we'll take what your dominator was, and same thing with target share. So it's, I say these numbers, I'm not necessarily sure if it's for a career or for a specific year. Anyways, we're just trying to keep it real, keep it 100.
Yeah, that's all we do.
Anyways, who's next?
That's all we're doing. All right, so we're gonna round this thing out with the last couple of guys here. So we got another group of running backs here, which I think the next guy on the list could be a pretty big mover for me, because I'm pretty intrigued, very intrigued. Kendre Miller here.
What? Yeah, tell me about Miller. I don't really know much about this guy. I'm excited to watch this TCU game. I'm glad they got into the playoffs, even with that loss. Sure. 6 foot, 220, 20 years old, pretty young, super young.
Right, and sort of has the mix of the size and the seemingly some of the athletic ability. The receiving seems good. The pass protection seems pretty good. I've seen a decent amount of him this year. And in that Texas game, he looked like one of the best players on the field, and has really just been one of the best players on the field, and been a joy to watch this year. He's been very productive throughout, not a huge amount of games throughout his career here, and then this year was just absolutely a joy to watch do his thing. He just seems to be able to find. He kind of pokes and picks his way and finds little creases to kind of get through. The acceleration seems to be really good. I think the athleticism is good. Although I saw some people kind of knocking the athleticism. It seemed very, very solid to me. So Kendre seems to have a sort of a blend of everything that could really lead to a big kind of jumper for me.
I don't know if that's Kendre. It might be Kendre.
Kendre? I think it's Kendre. I just have it written down wrong over here.
Gotcha. Don't want at me. Give me the phonetic if you got it. Projected to run on well, here I just Googled it. Here's one that says 4.58, another one that says 4.34. So I'm not gonna give you those straight facts. Those are way too skewy. We'll find out at the combine when everything we need to know is revealed to us in one day.
Yeah, I liked what I saw athletically from him throughout the season here, and I liked what I saw from a running back standpoint of being able to play the position and execute at a pretty high level there. So Kendre is going to be somebody who is circled and starred to really, I think there's some ability to really move up the charts here.
All right, let's see, this is pick 20, so that would be 128.
2.8, we'll go with Chase Brown here. Just crushed the Big Ten. He's a little light in stature, but
6'2", 225 is what I have.
Oh, I had him under that. But
from Illinois.
Yeah, but if that's the case,
so that was what Google said.
If that's where he ends up being, then I think he's kind of got all the parts and pieces. He ran amok on the fucking Big Ten this year. He is a whole lot of fun to watch. Just seems like he breaks a lot of tackles. It seems like he's again not wasting a whole lot of movement in kind of what he does. He's able to kind of sidestep a lot of people without really throttling down too much, and kind of yips around you a little bit.
Giving me the film breakdown. I like it.
But I really
save it for the profile.
I took Chase Brown over Achane right here because of just, even if I had him at a little smaller than what you just said, and that's massive. If I think he would probably move up even a little bit more for me there if there was some more size to Chase Brown's game here. But the reason I got Achane kind of down here a little lower, kind of jumping into him a little bit, is just really just being at the 5'9", 185, a whole lot of fun, really dynamic. Just, where is the production on Sunday going to come week to week to warrant being too much higher for me? And again,
he's going to catch passes. That's where it's coming from.
I hope so. But I mean, I just
target share in the 66th percentile.
There's not that many. There's
36
not that many
receptions.
There's not that many guys in the league who are that size really and are able to get the amount of touches warranted for moving the player up too much higher. I like him a whole lot. He's a whole lot fun to watch. He can make your day in one play. So that is certainly worth something. And again, digging into this a little more, maybe I end up saying I can look past that a little more. I just struggle to say, hey, the fantasy production is going to be able to be week in, week out, and I feel like it's safe enough to really go, terribly much higher with him.
See, I think people are gonna be mad about this.
I probably
not gonna like it. I'm gonna make a little case just from the stats here, right? Like, so starting off 5'9", 185, small. I don't know if you said that. I know you said he's small, but like 5'9", 185 as of now. Which, being short, you can be a little lighter, get a little stockier, but maybe he puts on some weight because he's proposed to run a 4.24. He doesn't need to run that fast. He could put on a little bit of weight, maybe run a 4.3 and be just fine, but that speed is going to be something very intriguing. And the fact that he caught 36 receptions on 44 targets in 2022 in only 10 games. And on top of that, had 196 attempts. So that's damn near 20 totes a game from the carrying standpoint. Average 5.6 yards an attempt, 8 touchdowns, 51 missed forced tackles. Like, this dude's getting it done. He handled a workload. Like, 200 attempts in college isn't anything to snuff about, especially from a guy with size concerns and who's still crushing it from a receiving standpoint. So, the fact that he's going to be so fast and can catch and handle 200 carries, average 20 yards, 20 attempts a game, basically, that's all very, very intriguing, and the value is going to be insulated with this guy. The name,
it certainly is, but I'd bet so much that there is just no way he's getting that usage in the pros at 5'9", fucking 185, man. It's just not happening.
No. I'm not saying that he's going to get 20 carries a game and, 4 catches a game. I'm saying he can handle more than I would expect from a guy like that.
Yeah, I mean,
when you look at Achane, he's got the receiving chops, and he's got the speed, and he's small. You wouldn't expect to see that he handled 20 carries a game in college. That's all I'm saying.
I don't see. I did not expect to see that. I watched Texas A&M. I knew how much run he got. I mean, I think he's a good player. I just don't see that. I just don't see it translating to the NFL where the production. I think he's a great player, and there's going to be times where he is going to score a lot of fantasy points, but I just don't see it being week in, week out for me enough to warrant the draft pick being too much higher. And I also have had Chase Brown at 5'11", 205. Other people have him at 5'11", 200. So that's why he's down here.
I just Googled it again, and they said Google's telling me 225.
Yeah, I mean, if he's at that in that area, then that's great. But I gave him
NFL Draft Buzz has 205. Let's see what ESPN has. ESPN has 205.
I'm giving Chase the nod just for being a size just a little bit here and being very productive.
Wikipedia says 205, and anyone can put something there so it's right.
For sure.
That's an Office reference.
Cedric Tillman, a bigger bodied receiver. You kind of mentioned him earlier. He would have been at the top of this list probably last year. He was a lot of love for him, but unfortunately didn't play a whole lot this year, and could certainly be a big jumper for me. Don't know a ton about him, just being honest here, and need to really dive into that a little more. But gave him his respect here, put some respect on his name, and I got Tillman here. Just basically rounding out the last receiver of this rookie mock.
This man had an awesome 2021, had a high ankle sprain and tightrope surgery early this to start this year, basically. So that's why you didn't see much of him. But he had a dominator in the 68th percentile and a target share in the 70th percentile. So analytical crowd's probably going to like him there. This late, pretty strong value, I feel like.
Agreed. Could be serious volume. Just again, speaking to some of the depth here, 23 Hendon Hooker injured, but we're going to throw the other quarterback in here. I think he could be a potential steal here. He's a little late and in the age bracket here.
Why is he so low with this being Superflex?
No real reason. Just injured, a little older. But
only 24, which I think is old as fuck, but not for a quarterback.
I think he'll end up probably closer to in the top of the second once the quarterback shake out, but we shall see.
I think so, man. I think you maybe put him in the end of the first. I mean, shit, this man was fucking wilding the fuck out.
He was balling, man. He looked great.
Is it just system? It's the same thing with Hyatt?
I don't know. I'm not necessarily knocking him. I'm putting him right at the end of this second round because I wanted to make sure he was in here.
Gotta get him in.
A lot of guys to go over.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm not so sure in my approach of any of these guys. You know, Hooker could have been anywhere on this list. He ends up at the end of the second because I wanted to make sure he was in here. And then to round it out, we got Kincaid from Utah, just another tight end in there. You know, TBD on the differentiating factors between him and Mayer here.
I'm just going to pass on Mayer so I can take Kincaid later.
It could be a real possibility of something that is done and said. But he was very productive, a whole lot of fun to watch. If you watch that USC game, the first one and the last one, you know, very, very productive. Seemed to have no problem getting open. He has a good feel for the game. So, you know, I want again that tight end production, and he seems like the next guy in line. So I wanted to throw him and make sure he was in at the tail end of this round.
Yeah, when you got Gardner Minshew 2.0 throwing you the ball, it works out for the tight end.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. Good little mock draft there. That was pretty much Casey's order. I just want to nitpick at it. Super early in the process, you know, definitely way too early, but right on time.
Soon enough, I'll be able to, you know, have strong rebuttals and strong feelings. This was just a very rough draft of kind of grouping these guys out and feeling it out. And from what I know, what I've seen, what I'm feeling.
Is what you said.
Legal massage here. But, you know, fuck it. If everybody else is going to do it, I'll throw you one. And here we are. So appreciate y'all for checking us out. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment below, and we will be doing a ton more of these. We'll be doing startup drafts. We'll be doing rookie mocks. We'll be doing profiles. We got JB coming on here really soon to talk some more trade targets and all that. So we're going to kind of keep you flowing and rolling through your dynasty off season, and we're going to get really, really deep into a lot of these prospects and really be able to get down to the nitty gritty and pick and poke at all these things and get a lot of different people on here to get a lot of different points of views and have some arguments with them as well. So you're not just in your own world here. You get to hear some different perspectives and get some different arguments going. So
that expert rookie mock series we did, ton of fucking work.
We'll be doing that again,
production-wise and post-production. But man, that was a really fun exercise. It was good to talk to all those people. Casey's on it, man. He's like little Fitzy over there. He's just booking people out the wazoo at the yin yang. So shout out to all the guests that come on here. Shout out to the listeners. Thank you all for listening. Be sure you hit us with that 5-star review, subscribe, blah blah blah. You got anything else, Case?
Nah, man, I'm good.
All right. Well, it's good seeing you. You got to stay safe, you know. Don't want to... Just trying to get better by Christmas. Jesus Christ, man. Just trying to put the Christ back in Christmas, you know.
That's right.
God's
like a good Republican.
An image, you know.
Yeah.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Appreciate y'all for joining us. We'll see you next time. Peace.